seat. Go to me when you want, and go from there. Do you want me on the whole time, or okay? Yeah, just kind of tell me when, and we'll go from there. Uh,
Okay.
We're live?
Yeah.
Holy moly. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Beans. This is episode 44. Thank you for being here. Apologies and thank you for your patience. We had some technical issues in the studio this morning. How are you today, Dan?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm all right. Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday.
It's the week before Thanksgiving break. Are you excited?
I am excited. Are you excited?
I am. Are you doing anything fun with the fam?
No, not really.
No?
I don't know.
You don't do a whole feast?
I don't think so.
No? You don't
No.
think so? You knew?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I do. I just going over to my sister-in-law's.
Nice.
How about you?
I'm going over to my sister's.
Nice.
So yeah.
Is that a big feast?
It'll be chill because we're both gluten-free, so it's like the sensitive people food.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. Good morning, the Grand Puppeteer. Gary's here, Mike is here, and thank you to all the friends joining us. We are live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Go ahead and say something in the chat so we can say hi to you. Also, retweet our pinned tweet over on X. We'll be running a giveaway at the end of the show, so get on over there. And in 3 words or less, tell us how you're feeling about crypto right now. Dan, how are you feeling about crypto right now?
I am pretty upset because of prices,
Okay.
but I'm excited because I can buy stuff lower.
There you go.
So,
Flash sale.
yeah.
Blue light special, huh? Okay. All right. Meta Tiger's here. I'm going to text the X stream real quickly. Actually, can you test the X chat just to make sure it's working?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, so do we want to talk a little bit about like what on earth is happening in the markets? Is this just a structural issue or what, or not issue, but structural correction?
Yeah, well, I think we should bring in our top analyst, macro
Expert.
market expert, Ryan, to chat about this.
Love that. Hello,
So-
Ryan.
Let's bring him in.
those are very loose terms. What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing?
Good. What's going on?
I'm hunting for opportunities, guys. There's a lot to talk about here. Where do you want to go?
I think let's just address the elephant in the room and ask, like, okay, what's happening? Why? Why is everything seemingly on fire?
Well, I think there's a few components to it, but if you just look at, all right, what's driving a lot of the short-term narrative, it's around whether the Fed's going to cut in December or not. What does liquidity in the market look like? Is the AI outperformance really just this massive bubble? I think you've seen a lot of leverage get taken out. You have a bit of uncertainty following the government being shut down for the longest period on record. There's no economic data. Fed saying one thing one day, another thing the next. They become seemingly a bit politicized as well. And so I just think there's a ton of uncertainty in terms of where we go over the next month or two. At the same time, you had a ton of leverage in the market, and you have at this moment a lack of liquidity. Though you can also see a path forward where that all changes quite dramatically and kind of becomes a tailwind. I think that's what's made this really tough, is that you're seeing this really rapid decline in, let's use the price of Bitcoin. It's not so much the size of the move, but more so the speed of the move, right? We were 126,000 on October 6th or 7th, and here today we're flirting with 80. And so I think just given how quickly it's moved and the fact that there's nothing you can point to that typically would result in that speed of a move, right? You would expect that there was some exchange that has blown up or something else happened. And maybe this is just still the residual effects of October 10th, but curious to get your view on it, because when you look around, there's nothing that is apparent, but yet we kind of see some of this reset of expectations around the macro with, again, the understanding that, like, whether the Fed cuts in December or not, the Fed's still cutting. QT ends in December. The economy is seemingly strong. maybe there's a concern that starts to slow down. You've seen some signs of disinflation, at least in terms of the rate of change. So, aside from like short term, a couple signals there, I don't see anything else in the macro, in the big picture, within the next 3 to 6 months that looks disastrous.
Yeah, I think everybody knows by now that I don't pay too much attention to the macro stuff. I'm more of a narrative chaser. And in my worlds where I'm more focused on the creator economies and things like that, it's really popping over here. Jesse from
Yeah.
Base launched his token yesterday and it reached 26 million market cap in under 6 hours. Like, people made a fortune over there. And so I'm flipping Zora tokens like a maniac. And so things are like, as far as like crypto goes, I hate the narrative like, oh, see, he told you it's a scam. Like, no, things are moving and things are bouncing, but like there's still life on chain.
Yeah, like I think that's the one thing. It's a good point, and it's a nuanced point to this space. Is that it'd be like saying the markets are down, so the internet's a scam.
Right.
So like there's still a ton of activity on chain. There's still apps launching. We're seeing a ton of mobile development, just base app, the stuff you talked about with the creator coins. There's still people, out there doing things. It's just broadly price is down and died, which in some ways presents an opportunity. I mean, right now we're looking at the liquidation heat map. And so over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin, ETH shed, over 1.5 billion, 1.6 billion in longs. So we had a lot of leverage in the system. I think, crypto's very tied to the broader market and broader liquidity conditions. To Ryan's point, there was that pause. Everyone's betting on rate cuts. Everyone's betting
Mm-hmm.
on money printer, kind of that narrative, and that seems to have not been the case. So the first place that money flows out of is crypto because it's viewed as the riskiest
Mm-hmm.
and highest leverage and everything that comes along with that. Um, so this is where we get these massive unwinds, these quick unwinds. People are pulling back. Um, so that's why we saw the price action there happen. But to Shelley's point, if we go over to Zora, if we go over to some of these popular apps, people are still using them. There's still money. There's still money flowing, and I think you can find opportunities, which Shelley has been doing. You heard, you've had a couple good trades over there, so
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to dig into that a little bit, and I definitely want to go check out some of the stuff on Zora. But yeah, broadly, I just think we had a lot of leverage in the system, and that macro narrative has changed from money print and go bird to maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
And
short term too, you've seen one of the larger buyers slow down. I wouldn't necessarily say stop, but when you look at the bid from the digital asset treasury companies and where they are sitting on in terms of paper losses right now, you're likely to, unless they can raise more money, you're likely to see a slowdown. And I think most of the charts, if DeFi Llama or wherever you want to go has some of this, you'll see just how much buying was coming from these treasury companies over the last few months and kind of where we are now. So I think that bid has at least temporarily been removed from the market. I don't think it changes the thesis long term, but when you look at just kind of this one way flow and where the buyers were before that were absorbing a lot of the selling pressure from some of the larger whale addresses that you've seen on chain. We know there was the Galaxy desk deal where they facilitated 8 or 9 billion in terms of a sale. The market was able to absorb that, and because you had these big inflows into ETFs, but more so you had these digital asset treasury companies. I think that continues at some point. You see positive flows again, but that's another thing to note is that there's just hasn't been that big buyer in the market that was there previously.
yeah, and to your point, I'm on DeFi Llama and I'm looking at the ETF stats, and for the current month of November, we're 21 days in. We've seen 3.7 billion dollars of Bitcoin outflows and 1.8 billion of ETH outflows. So stuff's not flowing. Money's not flowing into this space. Today alone, 903 million outflow from Bitcoin, 261 outflow from ETH. So I think that just kind of kills any momentum that we would see in this asset class. So that might be risk off kind of behavior because there might be a broader issue with the AI trade and some of the stuff in the traditional markets. But yeah, just no inflows right now. It's the largest outflow since February, I think, as far as I can tell on this chart. So yeah.
Are either of you seeing or hearing about anything more structural blowups across different protocols, funds, market makers? Just curious because you don't see that when you kind of take a quick glance of the headlines, but wondering if there's something under the surface.
So not anything specifically, but I do think that it was tied. We've talked about this in the past, where there was a lot of borrow lending going on in DeFi. So like Morpho in particular. I do think that there's probably like an underlying, I guess, issue with some of these vaults. And I don't know which specific ones, but I was thinking, this like rehypothecation trade where they're like minting stable coins that are backed by rehypothecated collateral. Just kind of like risky behavior happening in these borrow lend markets, I think is unwinding. And, it could be tied to like private credit or some of these off chain lending practices that's kind of made its way on chain into some of these pools, some of these protocols. So something like that I could see for sure. But, specifically not really.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything either. And again, I'm so focused on more narrow things happening on chain that the whole big token volatility doesn't phase me too much because I'm just long on all my positions on ETH, Bitcoin, Sol, and then I'm playing over in the creative buckets.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not like, oh no, crypto's dead. That doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, to
really
that
faze
point,
me.
in some cases, it's never been better for crypto. You have a ton of tailwinds,
Mm-hmm.
and given the price action, maybe it's never felt worse. I could point to a couple times where I think it's felt worse, but
Yeah.
I don't think the big picture thesis changes at all, right? In my opinion, it doesn't.
Yeah, I asked our friends on X to, in 3 words or less, how are you feeling about crypto right now? And we're getting a tough day, worst feeling, traumatizing. So I'm not dismissing the way this feels because it's not nice, but I hope that people just weather the storm.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. I don't think it's anything that we haven't seen before, right? It's not uncharacteristic. This is a pretty typical move. Um, if this is as bad as it gets, it's not that bad, really, in percentage terms when you look back historically. We've seen similar moves for sure at points in time where you then saw massive rips thereafter. It's very volatile.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I would think about it is at 100,000, if you believe you can go to 150 on the upside, you probably have to price in 75 on the downside. So you have kind of 2-to-1 risk reward there in that sense. But if those are the moves that you're playing for, and I think what makes it kind of psychologically difficult at times is just the very large number, the 6-digit price versus if it was $10, it goes to 750 on its way to 15. You don't really think about it or feel the same way, I suppose. But that's how you probably should think about it, given the volatility.
Yeah. So let's move on. Now that we've covered the feeling of the market, let's move on. What's happening in DeFi? We've got some exciting things.
Yeah. I think the Uniswap fee switch has been something where kind of I think a positive update in DeFi. I don't know, Ryan. Have you been following that closely?
Yeah, we actually put together an article on this with a base case and bull case, kind of rudimentary model. Again, trying to provide some perspective as to how to think about the value of the Uniswap token given what this is, and we're referring to the fee switch, which is part of this proposal. We could probably jump to that if you want to go through the tables that are there, or I can kind of speak to just, this is another one of those very bullish developments that is happening, and everyone is kind of looking over here at the price of Bitcoin in the short term and whether the Fed's going to cut interest rates. But yeah, there's some pretty important things happening in DeFi that I think could unlock a lot of value over time, because I believe there as well, when you look at the volatility in the market, there is a disconnect between real value, the growth that exists here, right? You've seen this just ongoing adoption, and these protocols continue to generate more revenue as the tokens continue to decline 70%. So maybe they were very overvalued to start with. But that said, at some point, I think like these protocols, we use Uniswap as an example, could only make so much money until there is a repricing, right? And that disconnect no longer exists, but it exists today. And there are some fundamental things happening that could change this structurally. So big kind of long-winded intro there, but let's talk about this fee switch. So if people aren't familiar with what's going on, I believe a couple of weeks ago, there was a formal proposal made from, I think, the co-founders, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan, but I believe the co-founders of Uniswap put forth a proposal. It's referred to as Unification. You can read the whole thing on the Uniswap website, but the core of it is that it will activate the fee switch, and it will also retroactively call for 100 million Uniswap token burn. So the fee switch is embedded in the Uniswap code. It just has never been turned on. If it's turned on, what it will do is just programmatically shift a small percentage of the fees that are generated by the Uniswap protocol over a couple different versions of it, ultimately across the whole thing, but V2, V3 to start with. It'll redirect a small portion of those fees. Those fees then will be used to buy back Uniswap tokens and burn them. So that reduces the supply. The best way to think about this, the easiest way to think about this, is like a share buyback or stock buyback in the traditional sense. This is a token buy and burn. The purchase of the tokens is financed through the fee switch. Additionally, it calls for 100 million Uniswap token burn, which is to make up for the tokens that would have been burned otherwise had the fee switch been on the whole time. And when you look at what that is at current prices, we'll say it's approximately 15%, 16% of the outstanding Uniswap token supply. So when you conduct buybacks of this size and you have an ongoing mechanism to programmatically buy back tokens, as the protocol grows in revenue, presumably, more and more of that value then starts to accrue to the Uniswap token holders, which today, the value that the protocol generates, the revenue that it generates, doesn't really accrue to the token holders. There's always been the speculative element to it in that the fee switch would be turned on. But today, all of that revenue, the fees that are generated from people swapping tokens on Uniswap, that goes to the liquidity providers. So there's a couple different variables here and kind of ways to look at this. But generally speaking, if this is a vote that passes, which I think you'll get some indication of that probably in December, if it passes, then it should unlock a lot of value, assuming Uniswap continues to grow its user base and it's able to grow its revenues over time.
Yeah, I think this is a huge unlock because this is why I think this is one of the more profitable protocols and more wide, like probably one of the most successful applications in the space. It's generating real revenue. It's just that for whatever reason, legal, technological issues, they've never been able to direct that revenue back to token holders. So there was always this bet or this like kind of selling pressure on the token price around that fee switch. So yeah, I'm looking at the proposal now on screen. Unification by the founders. So it's got 8 points here. So it's turn on Uniswap protocol fees and use these fees to burn the token, reducing supply, for giving kind of like a share buyback, like Ryan said. Send Unichain sequencer fees to the same Uni burn mechanism. So they recently launched their own chain, and the sequencer fees there, the fees generated there are going to be sent to the burn mechanism, and then increase LP returns. So I think this is another interesting one that's overlooked, is that they're going to be able to increase LP returns through discount auctions. So another mechanism. Launch aggregator hooks. So their new Uniswap v4 is now an on-chain aggregator that collects fees on external liquidity. So it turns it into a developer platform. So essentially they're allowing people to kind of hook in and build their own applications using Uniswap. And then,
So like the strategy tokens are using V4 hooks, right?
I think so, yeah.
How does that work?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not a developer, so I just know that essentially what these hooks do is allow you to build new applications and tap into Uniswap liquidity and build on top of it, right? That could be for token launches, or it could be for new protocols. As far as the technicals, I don't know. We'll have to maybe find somebody that knows.
Yeah. Interesting.
Labs. So there's an entity, Labs, that develops the protocol. So they'll focus on developing growth for the protocol, including turning off interface, wallet, and API fees, and committing to only pursue initiatives that align with the broader DAO interests. And then migrate governance own unlock Unisoc's liquidity from Uniswap v1 on mainnet to v4. So just broader governance updates. So I think, Ryan, you wrote a great article, and we can go back to this. You have a base case that assumes 18x price revenue ratio. Can you walk us through these base and bull cases?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way to think about this first and foremost is that these do not trade at a very high multiple relative to where they could go if this all becomes true, where token holders of DeFi protocols start to accrue value from the revenues generated from the protocol. I think that sees a repricing or re-rating in terms of the multiples that these trade at in the market. So that's embedded in kind of these longer term assumptions. But I guess just to kind of illustrate this, right? Look at where the token is trading right now, which I'm guessing is closer to probably $6, $6.50, somewhere around there, 6 to 7. And so if you look at what would happen just simply given the number of outstanding tokens and the protocol growing from a revenue perspective, well, you can get a very linear and easy to understand kind of higher token price, certainly given the reduction in supply. And so what we're looking at here is using these multiples, and you can adjust these however, but we'll just say 18 times and 25 times in terms of how the growth in the market is priced for our bull case. This is where you could get to over time, should you assume linear growth rates, right? You have to assume that you continue to see a compound return of X%. But when you go out, and you look at what would be the resulting burn from the increased revenue, the more money that Uniswap makes here, they take a set percentage of that revenue, but the more that they make, the more they have that's available to burn, which results in a faster kind of decrease in the supply rate, right? Obviously. And so when you just look at where you would get to, assuming they continue to just grow, that's what it's all predicated on. Again, these are the potential token prices that you could say would be, pretty possible in the market, assuming some of these valuation metrics. And so you look at where your market cap is, and you can go back and forth between circulating. This is just looking at circulating supply versus fully diluted value for other protocols. Uniswap here is going to burn a good chunk of that outstanding supply, even just to begin with, as part of this proposal. But when you, again, look at what could happen from there's this many tokens, there's this much revenue coming in, you can think about that as you do earnings per share or revenue per token. And then you look at, how much is going to be burned and how does that continue to extrapolate out in time. It's possible in theory that, by the end of the decade, if there's a massive adoption of DeFi and this stuff just explodes, it's possible you get to like $100 Uniswap token price. It's $6 today. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I think at $6 relative to this dynamic, it's probably an argument that it's undervalued, right? It doesn't mean it's going to 50, but at $6, I think there's an opportunity.
Yeah, so your base case here in 2026 with very conservative revenue and fee metrics is $9, right? Like that'd be like the implied price or the valued price because of what's going to be burned. Obviously, I think there's broader market factors that would affect that, but you know, looking at where we're at today, we're definitely undervalued. So, I mean, I have recurring buys weekly on Uniswap, so I don't have a problem buying and holding, and that's the bet I'm making. And I think anybody that's relatively familiar with the space and has used a chain to do a swap knows what Uniswap is, knows it's very popular, probably the most used app, and generates revenue. So, I mean, I'm betting on end of the decade. It's definitely looking like looking closer to what Ryan just put in here.
Mm-hmm.
So recurring buys. I'm cool with that. I'll set it up. It's
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's a good bet. I think it's a good bet, and it's one of those things too where if you're deep in the space and you're paying attention and you see, oh, they're turning on the fee switch. Fees are now going to go back to token holders essentially. What's great is nobody else talks about this. Like we can make the bet on that, and the price did move when that
Oh yeah.
announcement came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to trade it, and it went from like $7 to like $9. But it's getting hammered now because the broader market's getting hammered. So
Another opportunity.
I think this is undervalued. I think there's a massive opportunity here if you want to buy and hold. You know, it's one of the most popular products.
Yeah, as a product,
Yeah.
I've been using Uniswap since I started in crypto.
Well, here's the thing.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. And you could see a scenario where with some of the Uni V4 hooks and the ability to build things, couldn't you see a scenario where like the New York Stock Exchange plugs into it,
mm-hmm.
or like these tokenized platform plugs into it, and then all of a sudden you have the TradFi blessing, and now it's like people that didn't even know what it was. Massive fund managers are setting up crypto treasuries for it.
Right.
So I think like that's the bet I'd like to make, and it's definitely going to be a part of our. It's a part of my portfolio. So you can also buy it on Tasty Trade, which is nice,
And set up a recurring purchase.
and set up a recurring purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, when you look at the numbers, um, regardless of what the price of the token is, you have something today where you're looking at 1.5 billion. Let's be very conservative and say a billion in revenue. You look at what they did in fee revenue, 265 million last quarter. That's up 60% year over year. Almost 11 million active monthly addresses. So there's a lot of users. There's real revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's again an undervalued opportunity, but it's how long can this disconnect last? It could be for quite some time still.
yeah, I'm looking at I'm looking at DeFi Llama right now. I'm looking at Uniswap combined metrics. So and I'm doing it cumulative. So look at 4 years ago, 2021, we're looking at like 500,000 in fees. Right now, we're looking at 5.2 billion. So, I mean, I don't know what the math is on that, but it's a massive explosion in growth. It's up and to the right. It looks like this trend will continue. More people are going to flow into DeFi. It's going to get easier, with some of these mobile apps coming out. So I don't see this slowing down. Um, so yeah, I think it's massively undervalued. If it's one to buy and hold, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
So
And then, since we're running out of time, I'd like to just quickly pop over to Zora and show the trade I put on
sure.
when this Uniswap fee switch was announced. I was like, what else can you invest in Uniswap? And I came over here. Uniswap Foundation has an account, and I bought the Dooney, this one. And if you go to the chart, it's down now, but I think I yielded like 10,000% overnight because it went crazy. And so it was like, again, the narrative, like I'm a narrative chaser. It was like, ooh, Uniswap's doing cool things. Where else besides just the Uni token can you participate? And so this token, and then that account token as well, like Uniswap Foundation, I had a good trade on that. So I challenge everyone to think outside the box a little bit when things like this happen. Like, don't sleep on the creator tokens.
Right.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, this was something.
Yeah, I literally rode.
Total volume 3 million, creator earnings 28 grand, $455,000 market cap. Yeah, this is just something I think they posted that they had an account now, and it was.
No, when was this posted? 3 months ago. So this was actually not in line with their fee switch news. I was just hunting around like, where's Uniswap on other channels? Like, where else can you participate in this uni, narrative? And I came across this. And so, yeah, I rode that green candle all the way up.
Should we be buying some?
Probably.
I think we should be buying some.
Not financial advice, but yes. So, yeah, I own the creator token and the token itself. I did not, and I'm typically paying attention because Jesse on base announced on Farcaster, or maybe he didn't, but someone was like, oh my gosh, Jesse just launched on Zora. And I wasn't paying attention. I popped over there and I was like, oh, good grief. People had fun with that.
Oh, yeah, they were pumping it. I saw that.
It went from 0 to 25 million market cap. That was the banana zone in 6 hours.
Yeah.
It's not down all the way. I think it's at like 17 mil now. But
what does the banana zone mean?
Ryan can explain the banana zone.
The banana zone, I believe, is a term coined by Raoul Paul from Real Vision and is in reference to those periods in the crypto market cycle where, as I refer to it, the crazy shit happens, or we'll call it blast off mode. But those couple of periods where in past cycles you've had, a big move higher, you've had consolidation, then you get a little bit of that kind of downtrend short term, everybody loses faith, and then typically driven by liquidity dynamics, you get this just parabolic vertical move. The ones where when you go back and look at the prior cycle for any of these, let's call them more legacy tokens, or those that have been around for a while, you got valuations early on that in hindsight didn't make any sense, but stuff just went straight up. Your $2,000 to $20,000 Bitcoin move, that sort of thing. That's the banana zone.
Lots of banana zones over on Zora lately, so I'm having fun over there. And let's see, I think Gary's over there participating in Zora too. And I challenge everyone, if you have a Zora account, send us your links. I want to see your content. I want to participate in what you're doing. The Tasty Crypto has an account on Zora, and we're posting over there every once in a while. Dan, you have a personal account too, don't you? I have a personal account.
I've made one for my NFT project. Yeah, I mean, if you're paying attention, you can catch some of these narratives, and there's not a lot of people there, so they do pump to your, like what you've seen. Obviously, that might have been just, I don't know how that happened, but it might have just been like people chatting, let's go buy this,
Correct me if I'm wrong, and Uniswap is providing the liquidity behind all these tokens, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're Uniswap V4 pools. So you can actually, our creator token, we can actually go look at on Deck Screener. Great point. Let's do that.
Not to be confused with the TC token.
No. Which eventually we'll have to figure out how to migrate liquidity over to like an EVM chain. Yeah, it's going to be a big thing. Oh. Uh-oh.
Ruh-roh. Early things in crypto. Sometimes this stuff happens. Well, if that's not working right now, we can come back to that.
Yeah.
But we have something to post to Zora, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you have it on your computer, or do I have to email it to you?
I think you have to email it to me.
Of course I do.
All right. Well, Ryan, I think that's all we need from you. Any last thoughts or anything?
Yeah, I guess one quick last thought. When you start to look at these things from the fundamental perspective, a very clear picture emerges, in my opinion, which is there are going to be or are a lot of opportunities in the app layer. We used to think about revenue being generated on the L1, which it still is. And when you look at Ethereum prior to the switch or the upgrade, you do see that. But if you look at, let's say, Solana, for example, right now, you look at where applications are being built, like Zora, like Uniswap, just consumer apps that are going to bring the users on chain that generate revenue themselves that also have tokens. That's where I think you connect the dots. So I'll shut up, but I think the app layer is really what people want to start to focus on as you look for opportunities with real, I suppose, fundamentals, which do matter from a long-term investment perspective. When you look at that in the space here, as this is all blown up, that's kind of how I would think about it, or the lens that you should, in my opinion, you should look through.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to the apps that people are using. The protocols, there's only going to be, Solana, ETH layer 2s, a couple others are valuable. Obviously, stick to the ones that have some product market fit, but the opportunity is going to be in the apps that people are using, and there's fundamentals that you can track there. So I think it's a great point. So appreciate it, Ryan. Have a good Friday. We'll chat. We'll chat with you later. And yeah, anything else for the people?
No, thanks for having me on the show, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Thank you, Ryan.
Right. Bye.
Dan, do you want to post our Zora?
Yeah.
I
Give me
emailed
1
it to
second.
you.
I want to there. Okay.
Our X stream went down, and I can't figure out how or why. So strange. It says we're still streaming, but I can't see it. So, oh well. Very weird.
All right. So tell us a little bit about this one.
Oh. Well, our lovely content creator, Megan, created this, the Lego version of me and Dan in studio. Look at my hat.
It's pretty cool.
It's the greatest.
It's pretty cool.
And look at your hair.
I know.
That is your hair, Lego-fied.
It's very good.
It's actually amazing.
She did a great job. Shout out Trogs.
Yep. Shout out Trogs. Brick by brick. Beans is all caps, Dan. Branding. Look at him. Mm-hmm.
We might have to discuss that later.
Brick by brick. I love it. So, our feed is quite chaotic, and I love it.
We're not doing terrible. 56,000 market cap.
Yeah. So did that post? That was quick. Love that. Look at us. On chain.
Buy it. Buy it.
I know. I gotta go. We gotta go get it. I gotta get it. What the heck? Before everybody else. Equal opportunity. Y'all are seeing this live. What else do we got? What's everybody doing for Thanksgiving in the chat? And thank you, Jose. I saw you say welcome back. I was traveling last week. Oh, is there a bidding war going on? Got it. It's good to be back. And we will not be here next week because of Thanksgiving. So it'll be the following week when we come
Thanksgiving's
back.
Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, but we have Friday off.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I was just People always get my wife and my family get mad at me because I always ask when's Thanksgiving, and it's always on Thursday.
Right?
But at Christmas changes, right?
Correct. That would be
Yeah,
the
Thanksgiving.
25th. I think it's the third or fourth Thursday of November is always Thanksgiving. My daughter is turning 21
On Thanksgiving.
day before.
Oh my God, that is like, isn't that like the largest party day of? Isn't that like?
I am afraid for her.
Is she like a big?
No, but she's been excited to be like, I get to go drinking. I'm like, oh God. And I was gonna go out and visit her, but I was like, that's not gonna be fun for her, and it's not gonna be fun for me because
No.
I'm gonna be like,
Yeah, don't do that.
So no, I'm
I would definitely have like a wellness check. It's, just
Oh, her cousin's flying out,
like, okay.
and so I was talking to the cousin like, you pay attention, watch her, take care of her because I won't be there. So helicopter mom in me is like, hold back. So yeah, yikes,
Big yikes.
big yikes.
Well, that's
So,
fun.
Yep.
Congrats to her. Happy birthday. Happy
There it is.
early birthday.
Congrats
Congrats
for
for making it to 21.
I kept my children alive to adulthood. Congrats to me.
Shelley, many people don't know this, but Shelley's a great mother. She kept her children alive into adulthood.
They survived this long. I guess that's winning. Yeah, so that's what I've got going on. What else? I thought there was something. Oh, giveaways. Sorry, everybody.
Okay.
We can't forget about that. I don't know what's going on with X. It's strange things are happening. Oh, now it's showing up. I guess this is just on my end. Things are glitchy. Not many retweets, so high probability of winning. Get over here if you want to have a chance to win some USDC and some brick, right?
Sure. Yep.
Excuse me. X picker. Oh no. I was getting double audio. Sorry, everybody. We'll go retweets. How many winners?
5.
Damn. High probability of winning since we've only got 14 retweets. You must follow the Tasty Crypto account. And you must have a minimum of 50 tweets and a minimum of 50 followers. All right. Pick the winners. Good luck, everyone. So, Dan, are you going to be buying some more Uni today?
My recurring buys hit every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. Okay.
I don't want to rehash my missed opportunity trade when that announcement came out.
Too soon. We won't go there, Dan.
Yeah.
I also experienced that, though. Okay, congratulations, Jay Horizon, Larry 69015, Carl X280_X, Crypto Cherry, and For Life Scott. You have all won some USDC and Rick, our latest Zora drop. So if you didn't win and you want to go shop, hop on over to Zora. I will post all links in our Discord. If you're not already over there, jump on in at the link in our bio. And for anybody waiting for TC updates, we're off next week. By the following week, we should have some exciting news.
Sure.
Today's a big day, Dan.
Yeah, it is.
Look alive. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving if you celebrate. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you guys.